Hey everyone, we have another topic for you today with our Myths and Misconceptions series. This one is going to be women and guns. Now, for some reason, when it really comes to firearms community, self-defense community, and things like that, we suddenly put a little, box or something around women when they try to get into it. Suddenly the dynamic changed and we have to factor in all these extra things because it's a female or something like that. And it's really not something that we should necessarily be doing because honestly, what is that mindset communicating to women?
I think the first and foremost thing it probably communicates to women is that they don't belong in this community, that this is a world outside of their own and they're a foreigner. They have to come in and they have to earn their citizenship in a sense. They have to work extra hard to gain that respect, but also to be treated with the equality. It reminds them that they will have to work 3 times harder to reach your level of skill and respect than it would for me. Also, it communicates that there are different standards of excellence. It's appropriate for a man to carry a certain way, but because she's a woman, she doesn't have to consider all of those factors. We can, recommend some maybe less safe items, or we can recommend certain carriers because she's a woman. It's not a big deal. She won't necessarily use it as much as a man.
Gotcha. So then, really, that mindset, how is it affecting women that are trying to just get into shooting, get into self-defense or things like that? Because really, if a woman is trying to do that because this is sadly a male-dominated community, something's happened in their life, right? Something's come to a head that's caused them to realize, hey, I need to get a firearm or I need to get into training or something like that. Or maybe just potentially they want to get something to have fun, which for some reason females, we need to treat them different because they want to have fun. Right. But it's like, how is that really affecting women that are trying to get into this?
So I think the big way, it's twofold. It's positive and it's negative.
Okay.
It's more negative than positive. The positive side of it is you get those women who want to defy the status quo. The status quo is really what this mindset is that women don't belong with guns. Women, belong in the more, frilly, the more acceptable feminine things. So you will get women who are like, well, screw that. I'm going to show those guys. I'm going to prove myself. I'm going to be an expert shooter. I'm going to be all tacked out. I'm going to have everything going on. So it can be the fuel for some people, but also, it could be the fuel to be an example to other women. Like, hey, I'm going to show these guys and these girls that it doesn't matter what gender you are. You can still gain respect. And some women have done a phenomenal job with that in this industry. But let's be honest, it has more of a negative effect than anything else. And the real reason is because it caters to the fear that women already have. So when you tell a woman that she has to be in a specific box to be in this world, you're telling her she's inferior. She's going to have to take these watered down classes in order to get comfortable, in order to, get safe around a firearm. And it plays on the inferiority complex, but it also treats them as really fragile. So when we look at a woman and we say, hey, you're going to have to use this type of gun because this is concealable for you, we don't empower her to see herself as a stronger woman who can handle maybe a more complex firearm or a more complex type of class. And it's unfortunate because we don't do this in every aspect of our life. When we look at nature and we look at the animal kingdom, we give a lot of respect to the female species. So, for example, if I were to pull up an article that said, hiker attacked by bear, we'd immediately empathize with the hiker because that sucks. And we would just kind of accept that wrong place, wrong time situation. But if we were to read the article and we were to find that this hiker approached 2 young cubs and was actually attacked by Mama Bear,
Mm-hmm.
we'd almost be like, well, he's kind of stupid. You don't mess with Mama Bear, right? And we do this with birds. The female will defend her nest. We do this with lionesses. She'll defend her cubs against the male species, against, different threats. So it's acceptable in the animal kingdom, but it's not acceptable to believe that as a woman, we have every ability to be just as ferocious and just as strong. Two examples specifically are reading earlier this week about a woman who defended her young child from being kidnapped. Unfortunately, it was a very violent encounter, and she did lose her life. But when you read about how ferocious she was going after this kidnapper, it inspired you to be like, whoa, this woman was strong. She wanted to defend her young. Also, an example is one you showed me this morning of a mother who straight up tackles this full-grown man to the ground because he was peeping on her 15-year-old daughter. Full on, threw him to the ground. Women have every bit of ferociousness that a man does. And when we say, oh, we have to treat women special in this world where they can learn to really defend themselves, we play on their innate fear, their embedded fear of guns are dangerous. I can't be involved with it because I'm too fragile.
Yeah. So this mindset, how can all of us really strive to change it so that we can just be better?
I think the big thing is patience. We have to understand that this mindset dates beyond us. Many, many, many years and generations. I think as men, you can really work on, seeing us as equals, respecting the fact that we're here to learn too. We're here to better our reactive defense as well. As women, we need to push the boundaries of that status quo. We need to not accept the status quo. We need to not allow ourselves to be manipulated into a certain tool, like a firearm, certain classes which are good for us because the other ones are big or scary or things like that. We have to get uncomfortable ourselves and push that boundary, push that line. But I think together we can work on just looking at each other as equals, looking at our skill levels. We're both beginners, so we're both here to learn the same thing, or we're both advanced, so what can we give and take from each other, rather than, oh, you're a man, so you don't want anything to do with me, I have to prove myself to you, or, oh, you're a woman, you can't be on my level. So really just working together, it's twofold. There's a call to action on both sides.
That's good, because really there's no reason to look at it different. A male and a female both should have the right to have fun. They both should have the right to defend themselves.
Absolutely.
They both should have the right to go shooting or anything like that. And sadly, just because, like you said, that mentality, that mindset does go past, behind all of us, before all of us. So really, sometimes it's guys that genuinely do want to help and things like that, but it's just because it's sadly been ingrained.
It's not an aggressive, oh, little lady, you don't know how to shoot a gun. It's, no, this is how we've been taught to think.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And so really, there are certain things that at times it's like, well, that's not necessarily right. Like having an all-women's class. If you're just having an all-women's class just to make sure, oh, well, the women, we need to make sure we treat them differently and things like that, that's not necessarily a good thing. Now, obviously, because like we've said, this is a male-dominated community, having a women's class because hey, that's going to put the women more at ease, or that's going to draw more women to go to this class, to get into shooting, to get into self-defense, is a huge thing. It's a great thing to be able to market and advertise, but it shouldn't be that you're doing that just because you have two different standards, right? Because 100%. at the end of it all, if you're getting attacked, it's not going to matter. It's going to be, do you have the tools? Do you have the training? Do you have the experience? Everything before that, there might be differences, but really when the actual situation happens, it comes down to that.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And in order to overcome this mindset, this myth or misconception, it takes equal effort. And I think if we both learn how to do that, then we will be successful for sure.